Do you think that there's anything to the philosophy that people that are really tight with their money have less opportunity just coming to them because they have more of a scarcity mindset, as opposed to those who have more of an abundance mentality? I know Graham was telling me that you are totally fine overpaying for whatever. Like you don't even really consider it.
I was talking about the Ford GT, and I'm like, Jason, you might be overpaying by 20, 30, and plus sales tax on top of that. If you just wait and you're like, dude, I don't give a, I'm not going to waste my, I just want the car.
I totally. So I have always been. I had a lot of what's the word?
Risk tolerance.
Tolerance. Yeah, thank you. I've always had a lot of tolerance for risk in my investments. I'm okay losing money. I think in order to make money, you have to be pretty risky. If you're too careful, if you have $1 million today and you are a careful investor, you'll have $3 million in 20 years, and at best, maybe honestly not even that. You probably have $2 million in 20 years, and a more aggressive investor would probably have $5 million in 20 years. So it's a big difference. I'm a believer in taking risky investments, not stupid investments, but like again, this. A lot of people told me not to invest in TMF because it's 3 times leverage, and it's like who gives a shit? So I'm taking. I believe strongly that the treasury yield's going to come down. I mean, I think that's an intelligent risk. I put a ton of money into the market on when Trump announced the tariffs and the market crashed. I think it's very intelligent to believe the market's going to recover. I think that's I guess you're taking a big risk, but I think those are calculated.
It's not just that
risks.
though. I think it's overall from what I've seen, you spend a lot of money. I mean, at least compared to what I'm used to, the dinners and the experiences and the cars and the houses and the trinkets and the watches and the going out and the entertainment. It's like I remember seeing some of this.
I don't have kids, and I don't need to die with money. I mean, I worked hard and continue to work hard to have fun. I think money doesn't do anything sitting in my bank. I am all about spending my money. As you well know,
but
I'm not shy about it.
Do you think that's giving you more opportunity than, let's just say, me on the other hand, who's like,
more happiness? I don't think it's giving me more opportunity.
You don't think that you've
going out and buying I just bought a Rolls Royce for $500,000. I don't think that's giving me opportunity.
Do you think
it's fun as shit?
But the abundance of living that life, I do think, I'm a pretty firm believer that it does end up somehow coming back to you. Maybe in the way of like someone sees you in a Rolls Royce, you get a connection because you're wearing a watch, or you go to a fancy dinner, and so instead of staying at home, you meet someone and then you do deals with them, you develop a relationship, you enter that web of people. Or it could be in such a way of just like what you put out is kind of like, what you
back.
get. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go there because I think there are too many people that shouldn't be doing that pretend that they're wealthy and they're running out there and buying bottle service and dumb shit. So I wouldn't encourage that behavior unless you can afford it within your means. Also, if you have a family and a wife or whatever, then probably not the best idea. I purposely don't have kids because I want to go around, and I want to buy a Ford GT and a Rolls Royce. And I want to go fly first class to wherever with my girlfriend. I mean, that's, to me, I don't understand how people work hard and have money and don't do that. I really don't get it. I think they're fun. They're fun coupons. That's what money is. They're fun coupons. Why are you leaving fun coupons in the bank? Go use them to have fun.
If you're rich, what's the best thing to spend money on?
There's not one thing. I think clothes.
Really? I think people say that's the lowest ROI.
Yeah, no, I love clothes.
I
love cars. I love travel, food, but you can't spend that much money on food. Let's be honest. I mean, you can't go out and buy a $500,000 dinner. You can buy a $500,000 car. So I'll say travel. Definitely travel. Spend $100,000 on a European vacation. But I will say arguably the most fun that I have with my money, best ROI, is spending it on other people. I love being able to do things with my friends. I think it's great that I can provide opportunities for my friends, traveling or dinners or whatever that they wouldn't otherwise do. I also don't understand why people who have money, to me, if you're at a dinner, the person who's least affected by paying the bill should pay the bill. That's that simple. If you're out traveling, it should be based on who's least affected.
Well,
it's a utilitarian argument.
We picked up the bill just a couple days ago.
Oh, for
the
Mexican food?
The iced coffee hour picked up the bill for the Mexican food.
To be fair, I
Check's
told
pretty
my
effective.
staff to pay it, and then
Yeah,
they
they
said,
did.
"Oh, hey,
Yeah.
Graham paid it."
Yeah, you did.
And by the way, it does not count.
did.
Don't bring up the fact that you finally bought lunch. 15 years of me buying lunches,
500 to
and I got to
1.
hear about the one Mexican restaurant you guys.
I'm never gonna live that down.
And Pinche's Tacos, by the way, does not count as dinner.
What does it
Sounds
count
so-
as?
That's like a cheap lunch. That counts as like a half a lunch.
Okay, so it's mostly spending the money on other people. That's the highest. Fun
I'd say that's
coupon
probably
ROI.
the best ROI. Yeah, I mean, because two people get the enjoyment. I do something nice for my girlfriend and my brother or a friend. I get the enjoyment of it, and they get the enjoyment of it. I think it's a great thing. If you can afford to do nice things with your friends, I think that's awesome.
What do you think is the optimal amount of money to have?
That's an interesting question. You don't want to have so much money that everyone's angling at you, and you can't even have a normal conversation with someone. Maybe 100 million, maybe. The other thing too is once you have so much money that you can, total fuck you money, you can do whatever you want. I don't know if you appreciate it as much. So I'm not going to say a dollar amount. This is what I'm going to say. I think the goal is to continually increase your net worth so that you can continually get nicer and nicer things. And so you can continually appreciate those nicer and nicer things. The last thing you want to do is, one, have so much money that you stop appreciating things, or two, you have a lifestyle and that you have to come down. So I've always found that, like, a perfect example is I now drive a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, but I didn't just go out, and that wasn't my first car. That would suck. You start out with a Rolls-Royce Cullinan SUV. There's no better car out there. So I started with, I don't know, I forget what, who cares what my first cars were, but up until, finally I was able to get a Bentley, like 5 years ago. And then 5 years later I got a Rolls. When I got into my Bentley, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is amazing. And now I'm in my Rolls, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is even better. So you just want to keep living to where you can continually increase your quality of life, and then you will appreciate it every time. I never want to come down. And also, I guess you don't, if I had $50 billion, I mean, I don't know, then you can do anything. So then nothing's fun. You know what I mean? I like there to be things I can't do. I cannot go out and buy a private jet. So I like, it's nice to be able to not do everything. I don't
feel
know.
like theoretically you could buy like a $6 million private jet.
Yeah, but then you're stressed out about the costs and the use. You know what I mean? That's stressful. That would be stressful for
So
me.
how much money do you
Financially
need?
stressful.
How much money do you need to buy a private jet?
100 million. Minimum 100 million. Probably 200 million to even start thinking about a private jet.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not there.
What if
That's
you
fine.
What if you traveled a lot? You used it like a few times.
First
a
of all,
week.
I'm not even. If you travel a lot, like to Europe and what you're talking about, those private jets cost like $30-40 million. You got to be worth like $400 million before you're stepping up like that. And I'm not even a huge fan of flying private because I get nervous, turbulence, and then the pilot's not going to be probably as good as like a commercial pilot. And the bigger the plane, the safer it is, the less turbulence. I mean, more crashes on private planes than commercial planes.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned about money that nobody teaches you?
I mean, I would say that money does buy happiness. People tell you that it doesn't. I think it does. Doesn't guarantee happiness. I think that's what the saying should be. Money doesn't guarantee happiness, because that's true. Money definitely buys happiness, though. And I think that maybe people don't realize that money is meant to be spent. I mean, I think you're on this planet for only so many years. I don't understand how people are wealthy and don't spend it. And then the other thing is, I guess, circling back on this, spend it on your friends. I encourage my mom.
Yeah, Jack.
My mom has, I begged my mom to spend money. She's buying a Porsche right now. I mean, she's never had a nice car. She hasn't had a car, over 100,000. Well, not probably. I bought her a Mercedes for 100K, but before that, probably, she has a pickup truck, and she's got money now. I'm like, Mom, like, she doesn't spend money. I beg her to spend money. I actually have long conversation with her. I think that some people need to be encouraged to open up and enjoy the fruits of their labor. I don't know why so many people have money and don't spend it.
So what's your advice to me?
Yeah.
Because here's how I look
What
at
are
it.
you going to do with your money? Are you having
No.
kids?
One day. Here's how I look at it. I see the amount that I have invested, and I just think I could spend 3% of it a year and not run out. So that's kind of what I base everything off of. But then I think if the market falls 50%, I don't want to go down in lifestyle. So that 3% now turns to 1.5%. And I spend that. That's it. 1.5%.
Wait, but does that assume that you're not making any money?
Yes. So
But
everything
you are making money.
Yeah. So that adds to the top, and then I could spend 1.5% of what's invested.
Well, but then you have to figure out how many. You also have to minus how many years you have left, right?
Yeah, 50 plus years. But I don't want to run out. So 1.5% over 50 plus years, assuming my expenses keep going up every
assuming
year.
a return of how much a year? 5%.
I do 5 to 6%.
To me, this sounds borderline mental disorder.
No, I don't think that.
I think 1.5%.
If the market falls 50%, I don't want to be affected by it. I don't even want to think about it.
But
I want to be like,
I think what you should do is be diversified enough that doesn't happen.
I am, but
you can
there
hedge.
could still
Let me
be,
give you a perfect example of,
Yeah.
of how you can hedge that. I'm really pitching 30-year treasuries.
the inverse, 3x leverage.
Buy a 30-year treasury. Why? Because if we go into recession, what's the Fed do? Lowers rates. So you could put in I'm just going to say you have $20 million. You don't have to tell me what you have. Let's say you have $20 million. If you put 10 of it into 30-year treasuries, then you're guaranteed a 5% return, which is pretty solid. And you're also investing that to some degree because if rates go down. But it's a hedge against inflation. It's not a hedge against inflation. That was stupid.
Against the market.
It's a hedge.
Going down.
It's a hedge
True.
against a recession.
Right.
So if the market goes down and we got unemployment and hitting the fan, rates are going to go down. So have a balanced portfolio, and then you don't have. There's no way you're going to lose 50% of your money.
But
you're 20. Then you could do 25%.
But I still think there could be a small chance we turn out like Japan. It just goes down for like 30 years.
Well, didn't rates go down in Japan? Yeah, they went to like 0.
Yeah, correct.
So
but the market's going down at the same time.
I know, but you can. My point is, you can hedge. That is a perfect hedge. I spend money to remove stress. I'm overstaffed. Personal assistant. I have a stylist. I don't do anything anymore. I love that. I think there's no better way for me to spend money than to have somebody pack for me. Why do I want to, or go to the grocery store for me, or get my, dry cleaning or my shoes cleaned? Why do I want to be driving to drop off my shoes to get cleaned? Or it's a dumb argument. I know I'm sounding like a douchey guy, but I mean, why do I want to be doing anything? And that's the best thing for
Graham will lose sleep over a quote that he gets from a contractor that's like $700 more than what he thinks. Like he will literally lose sleep. And then he'll have a podcast the next day and he'll be like groggy and people will comment, Graham looks tired.
One of the things that I've done to change, Graham, is I used to be so difficult about contractors. And I always used to think I was getting, and I would negotiate them and get a second bid and a third bid. And guess what? You are getting like 90% of the time. I have now, it's less about money. For me, it was more about psychology. You know what I mean? I was feeling like someone was getting one over on me and I was being treated unfairly. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm wealthy enough that who cares? What's the worst case scenario? This is the way I think about it. The worst case scenario is this contractor who's working hard is charging me $1,400 for a $900 job. So I'm giving this dude $500 more than I should. Is that the end of the world? It's going to that guy and his family, and it's increasing his quality of life a hell of a lot more than $500 is going to increase my quality of life. Just look at it as like a tip, just a massive tip for a hardworking dude. And I'm just way happier when I look at it like that. I just don't mind getting as much.
How I look at it is that I don't spend that extra $500, and I think when I spend that here, I could have done all these other things that I purposely didn't do because I'd rather just save the money, and then it just just goes away.
Think about it like from a utilitarian perspective. Who's gonna have more happiness from that $500? You or that dude?
That dude.
That dude.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, when you leave this planet, you have just made other people happy. That's the worst case scenario for you. That's a good way of looking at it. I really don't negotiate as much as I used to. I don't get, second and third bids. I tip like crazy. Tip $100 to everybody. I mean, so the bathroom attendant or the valet is going to get $100. Do you know what he's going to do with that? He's going to take his girlfriend to dinner and have a whole good night. What am I going to do with $100? I don't even know what nothing. I don't know what you can do with $100. So
Buy tacos.
yeah, exactly. Buy gram lunch. So that I think you have to look at it like that's the same reason why I buy dinner. I've never, in 10 years, I don't think I've never not picked up a tab unless, someone's adamant about it. Because it doesn't affect me and it affects other people. I would always look at it like that from a utilitarian perspective. And it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to
The main
be generous.
thing that I see is like, sure, Graham could be spending money to increase the quality of his life, but at the same point, the thing that it sucks to see is when he's stressed out over these money issues, and he's on the phone with contractors trying to negotiate something down and on hold for an hour, and he's like clearly stressed out, and he gets anxious, and he gets angry, and he gets all of these negative
What about
things.
hiring a personal assistant that just does all of that for you? Just pay a person $100,000 a year.
The thing is, it comes up so infrequently, and it's so like last minute. Where today I have nothing, but then it could be one phone call at 4 p.m. that just comes out of the blue, and now it's like I really wanted someone to come over, like
quality of life is more
like,
important than money. If you have the money to not have to worry about that, then and you're still worrying about it, then you're not using your fun coupons appropriately, Graham. They're really meant to be like to de-stress. I have very little stress in my life. I use money to de-stress my life. That's the best thing you can use it for.
I'm still rooted to like how much I feel like $1,000 is for, like, because I remember like $1,000 commission early on would be like, oh wow, I could do this and this and this and make this last and invest it here. That just having it go away in seconds feels like it's irresponsible.
I know you have a problem because I went gambling with you and you lost like $30 and he got so upset. And I was like, dude, this is not fun. I'm like losing like $7,000 and I don't even give a shit. And Graham lost $30 and he's like, I'm done. I'm so done with this. He's so upset. I don't know, bro. We're cut from a different cloth. Also, the other thing too is, I think that you would be just as happy with half as much money. I don't think you would really. Yeah. So I think you should spend the shit out of it, bro. And the other thing too is, like, I bought that the $450,000 Ford GT. That is not spending $450,000. Just like, or my Rolls Royce, or I buy baseball cards or whiskey, like whatever the it is I'm buying, or artwork. It's not like I can't sell it in the future, or a watch. Let's say I buy a $30,000 Rolex. Someone's like, "Oh my God, you spent $30,000." No, I spent $5,000 because I'll probably be able to sell that thing in a few years for $25,000. So who cares? So I only look at it as spending $5,000. All I do is look at how much money I'm losing. When I bought that Ford GT, maybe I'll lose 50 or 70, maybe I'll lose $100,000 max, with taxes and maintenance and I'll have it for, let's say, 10 years. So I look at that as spending $100,000. I don't look at it as spending $500,000.